They just stayed and worked. I couldn't make them go eat. So, but as a result, they have a phenomenal presentation to give you tremendous amounts of data, tremendous amounts of advances that they've done. So you should all be extraordinarily proud of this group. So without further ado, this is the bacteriology group. They will give you an overview of the area before they proceed to their individual talks.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kerman, for the awesome introduction. We are Team Bacteria for ISR 2012, and I am Sushan.
I'm Leslie.
Natalie.
Denise.
Renee.
Gina.
Larry.
Nate.
And now we'll start off with the basics of bacteriology. Now, what is bacteriology? It's a branch of microbiology that looks specifically at bacteria. And during the summer, under the guidance of Dr. Kerman, we were all trained bacteriologists this summer, and so it's been a great experience. Alright, so what is bacteria? It's the smallest, most abundant, and also the oldest organism to inhabit Earth. They adapt quickly, they grow quickly, and they also eat pretty much almost anything depending on what type of bacteria they are. And they also live in many types of environments. And as you can see here, these are just some basic shapes and sizes of bacteria. Some are long, some are circular, some have swimming appendages sticking out of them called flagella, and yeah. And just to show you how specialized they can be, these are very special types of bacteria that live in harsh environments. Some live in glaciers and some live on the bottom floor. And in these specific types of environments, they actually utilize the chemicals contained in the glaciers and from the smoke that is emitted from these heat chimneys on the ocean floor. And so that by utilizing these chemicals from these types of environments, they can actually sustain the populations. Now we'll be moving on to Renee, who's going to be talking about the different types of bacteria in our body.
So we have our good guys and we have our bad guys. And pathogens are what we think of when we think of our bad guys. And a pathogen is any kind of infectious or disease-causing agent. Some of our bacterial pathogens that we know of cause our strep throat, our pneumonias, and our food poisoning. And our common ones are strep, E. coli, and salmonella. But not all bacteria are bad. In fact, our body hosts its own normal flora, which is essential for our body to function and for its performance, for us to be healthy. It's in our gastrointestinal tracts, our respiratory tracts, urinary tracts, and on our skin. And they also fight pathogens. Our model organisms are our E. coli and our staph. These are non-harmful strains in order to kind of protect us as students, but they are closely related to the bacteria that we find in our bodies, and close enough where the reactions should replicate the same reactions that the bacteria that we find in our bodies. So the strep we find on our skin, and the staph we find on our skin, and the E. coli is what we find in our digestive tracts.
Okay, so probiotics. So a probiotic is live microorganisms that are given in regulated amounts to promote a healthy host. These are the friendly bacteria that we have in our intestines, and they help support the natural flora that's already growing there. So when you ingest something, they usually come in fermented foods like yogurt, like Activia, many of you might know, that has actual bacteria in it. So when you ingest it, it goes into your stomach and it helps that normal flora grow. So prebiotic. A prebiotic is a little bit different than a probiotic. A prebiotic is actually like the food for the bacteria that's living in your stomach. It is a substance that provides beneficial effects on the host by contributing favorable growth on normal flora living there. This is found in many fruits, vegetables, and in breast milk. It survives the small intestine without being decomposed, so that means that when it goes through the small intestine, it doesn't break down up until it gets to the large intestine. Okay, so why is this all important? Well, we need natural flora in our system to help have a healthy GI tract. It helps relieve many GI problems, which include constipation, diarrhea, abdominal pain, bloating, irritable bowel syndrome, and it does improve your overall health. And it stimulates the immune system.
Antibiotics. Antibiotics are a class of pharmaceutical drugs used to treat diseases caused by infected pathogens. most antibiotics work by either rupturing the cell wall and killing the bacteria on the spot, or by disrupting protein synthesis and further not allowing the bacteria to multiply. So as you saw, you heard about the probiotic and some of the normal flora. Well, these are your supervillains of the bacterial world. So basically, an MDR species is a bacteria that has built up a resistance to most of our commonly used antibiotics. This can be something that happens overnight due to either you're taking a low concentration of your recommended dose, or it can happen over generations, as we've seen with penicillin versus some of our more commonly known strains of bacteria. And for the worst part, it is actually the genes that become that become resistant in the bacteria, thus it can be passed down to other generations, other bacteria. So some of the more dangerous MDR strains are Pseudomonas, Pseudomonas and Staphylococcus aureus, or MRSA, most of you guys know it. And to put things into perspective, if you look at the number of antibiotics made between 1983 to now, you can see the numbers dwindle while if you look over here, just in the span of 2 years, the resistance doubled in bacteria. Now, as you can tell, if you've seen some of those horror movies or The Walking Dead, the creation of a superbug is a very real threat facing the world of microbiology. Just as much as we create new cutting-edge medicine, they simply just build up more resistance just because we're treating everybody else who has a bug.
All right. So in order to create a new drug to